burn in hell, right? It's one
Absolutely.
Really,
he's putting himself in the position where he is intentionally putting himself into a crowd where people are going to disagree with him. I mean, he's in the university district.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a lot of you're not going to get a lot of traction spouting a bunch of crazy fundamentalist anti-gay stuff.
Right.
But his attitude changed when he wanted a picture taken with him. And you know what's also great? The attitude of all the people around him changed. Suddenly, he wasn't this opponent that they were screaming at anymore. He became like, you know, when you go to Disneyland and the costume characters.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's Goofy. I want to get my picture taken with Goofy. Isn't this great? He became this like sideshow. It's like, oh, dude, I want to get my picture taken with the Crazy Man.
Yeah.
Oh, Crazy Man, hold up your sign.
Cruella de Vil, can you hold my backpack?
Exactly.
You know, that kind of
it's
thing.
like Captain Hook. You know,
Yeah.
it's like he's the cartoony bad guy.
Yeah.
That's there for your amusement. And I love that. And I think that's what we need to do with people like Fred Phelps. And I think that this protest is just a perfect example of that. If we make him a joke, I mean, this isn't somebody like Rick Warren, who Fred Phelps is not going to get the invocation at a presidential inauguration.
Right.
This is not somebody.
He's
not going to affect legislation. Even Sean Hannity hates this guy. What we can do is make a joke out of him. We can make him something where he becomes this laughable little comic character that we go, oh, there goes fundamentalist man. Oh, he's funny. And I think we just have to keep doing that. I mean, he is a clown.
Yeah.
Let's have fun with him as a clown rather than get angry. He wants you to get angry at him. He wants to be because when you get angry at him, you reaffirm his notion that he's in this life or death battle against the forces of darkness, and that you represent that force of darkness. Don't give him that. The best thing you can do to somebody who's like that, who takes themselves completely seriously, is to not take them seriously. Make them a clown. Make them a joke.
Yeah.
Let's laugh at this jerk.
Yeah. You know, one unfortunate thing that I do want to mention is that he had protested at one kid's funeral who was a military member, and his father sued him for harassing his funeral. Mm-hmm. And there was a countersuit, and now that guy owes something to the effect of $10,000 or $20,000 to the Phelps family for court costs, and that's really unfortunate. That really speaks to the fact that these guys know what they're doing in the court of law.
Well, they're lawyers.
They're all lawyers.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, I know someone who actually has hired them and said that they are in court. That all that, you know, God hates fags thing, that just melts. They are real. They are actually fantastic lawyers, very aggressive, and they know their stuff.
Because I know he was like a civil rights attorney before he decided that civil rights were basically things you were bestowed upon by his dictatorial God. I mean, that's the thing, is you can see even when you actually look at the signs he has, he's not trying to change your mind. He says, God is your enemy, God hates you.
Yeah.
It's kind of Calvinist in its sort of attitude that your fate is already sealed.
Yeah.
You are going to hell,
yeah.
And I just want to rub it in.
All right,
what a dick.
All right, so let's move on. The next one we have here is Florida Church sponsors International Burn a Koran Day. The Dove World Outreach Center, a non-denominational church in Gainesville, Florida.
And your place for all your Dove needs.
Yes. 99.9%, or no, that's Ivory Soap, isn't it?
I think so.
Anyway, so they're planning to mark this year's anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks with a little bonfire of Korans, the holy book of Islam. They even have a Facebook page with a mission statement just to justify their actions. On September 11, 2010, we will burn the Koran on the property of the Dove World Outreach Center in Gainesville, Florida, in remembrance of the fallen victims and to stand against the evil of Islam. Islam is of the devil, they say. So the problem I have with this, I guess, is that it's okay to burn other people's books. You know, like that's one thing that, you know, like when I hear a lot is being politically correct. Well, it's always political, you know, people actually deride being politically correct, but it's always against someone else's political correctness. Like if we burned Bibles, if someone burnt Bibles, they'd be up in arms about that.
Yeah, I find something funny about this is that, it's his free speech. He has the right.
Absolutely.
He wants to burn Qurans.
Yes.
But I find the funny bit is that he's going to have to buy a ton of copies of the Quran and essentially give money to the sort of people that he's trying to stick it to. He can burn his own property. It's the same way if I burn a bunch of Bibles, I had to buy a bunch of Bibles for me to do that. I mean, you can't make this essentially comparable to what the Nazis did, where they just gathered up other people's property to burn.
Right, the Gideons are not putting Korans in hotels, so you can't get any free ones in the hotel.
You don't. So I find it kind of funny that these are the first people who would freak out if somebody decides to burn a Bible. We'd be these horrible, hateful...
Right.
we're that anyways, but we'd be more so.
Right.
And I just find it such a waste of time to and money to buy a bunch of stuff simply to burn it, unless, of course, firewood.
Anyway.
And seriously, it's like printed on rice paper anyways. It wouldn't burn for very long. You wouldn't get a lot of warmth from it.
So what else do we have?
Last story for the day. This comes from Australia, and I will give you the glossary of definitions in just a little bit. David Barker says he won't have a Muslim in Parliament after being dumped by Liberals. Quick thing to understand about Australian politics is the Conservative Party are called the Liberal Party, and the Liberal Party are called Labour. So it's worth mentioning that when they mean liberal, they don't mean small L liberal. Anyways, David Barker says a dumped Liberal Party candidate is refusing to go back away from controversial remarks he made about Muslims and the atheism of Prime Minister Julia Gillard. David, he's basically been replaced as the candidate in what's largely a safe Labour seat for their party. The Liberal State Party director, Mark Neame, said that Barker had not conducted himself in the way the party expected of its candidates for the August 21st election. Barker, who calls himself a man of strong Christian faith, reportedly used his Facebook site to accuse Labour of moving the nation closer to being a Muslim country. In a letter to local Christian leaders, he's seeking their support. He pointed out that Miss Gillard was an atheist and that his Labour opponent in Shifley, Ed Husic, was a Muslim. And basically what we've seen right now, he's basically made remarks, there shouldn't be a Muslim in Parliament, blah, 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 I'm a Christian. But there's a lot of angry about that, about the comment, anti-Muslim remarks. But the thing that really stood out in this article, more than anything, was the lack of any semblance of anger, even from his political opponents, about the remark he made about atheists, that we shouldn't have an atheist prime minister. Nobody's getting angry about that. And if you really want to understand the sort of Christian privilege, or even just religious privilege that involves not just in this country, which, by the way, Australia is quite a bit more secular than the U.S.
It's true.
If you really want to understand the sort of really kind of almost default status that anti-atheist vibes going to put out there, it's really worth mentioning that nobody gets angry on our behalf when we're called things like vile, or, we shouldn't be trusted with power or incapable of morality. Nobody really gets angry on our behalf. Only atheists do. And I think that's something that we have to do. So the reason we have this show is just putting ourselves out there so that people realize, hey, we're normal human beings.
Right.
We're not eating babies. And I think it's really important that we can get ourselves to the point that when somebody says something like that about atheism, or about atheists saying, we're incapable of morality, that there are political consequences for that. Somebody realizes that, wow, a lot of people get angry if I act like a jerk towards this group of people. That's what I'm saying. I find it really funny. It doesn't come up once. They mention she's an atheist once, but every one of his defenses is about, I'm not against Muslims. I just don't think they should have power. And it's just like, wow, that sounds like you're against Muslims. So, anyways, those are the news stories we have, and we want to dive right into this topic.
Well, actually, I want to just touch on what you had to say real quick, and that is, they did a Pew report as to which religious groups or not religious groups were reviled the most.
Yeah.
And atheists, for a while, atheists held the bottom, but someone has beaten us out recently, and that is the Scientologists. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So we can count on them to hold at the bottom for us.
So I just want to say thank you, Tom Cruise, for being worse than any of us could
David
ever be.
Miscavige, we appreciate the efforts. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
We're going to have to work really hard to be as reviled as we are again, but we're still, nobody would, it's amazing that the strong majorities of people that would never vote for an atheist candidate. And it's amazing how much of a foothold this religious privilege has in our country.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason we have this show, is we want to put our voices out there so that people aren't just so horrified, as if simply stating my disbelief in something that's unsupported by evidence is somehow a personal attack upon anybody.
So anyway, let's cut into our topic.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah, basically, our show today is about conspiracy theories. And one of the things I thought we'd open up with is a discussion about negative evidence. Now, negative evidence, quite simply, is evidence that cannot be proven. It's usually strung together from coincidences. It's just someone's general feeling. It's just stuff that can't be proven. And negative evidence is the absolute lifeblood of all conspiracy theories. It's stuff that you cannot prove, and it just feels funny.
Yeah, I found the thing that I found with a lot of negative evidence is that it always comes from a hole or a perceived gap in our knowledge.
Right. That
we don't know this, therefore I know this. Like unidentified flying object.
Right, a light in the sky. We'll start with that.
A light in the sky. What does the U in UFO stand for? It stands for unidentified.